All right, well, welcome to episode 3 of the Frontlines. It's been a while. We've been on a little break, post AEP wrap up. Today we're going to introduce 2 new agent success managers, Lex and Nate. We may get into some other topics, but yeah, let's just quickly just talk about kind of what we're seeing post AEP wrap up for our agents, and then we'll introduce the new guys, the F&Gs, right? So what have you been seeing a lot with your agents, Jordan?
I mean, the dust is kind of settling now, right? Like, we've had the month. Carriers are finally mostly caught up on a lot of their payments right now. But, I mean, industry-wide, not just with Agent Boost, but industry-wide, we've seen a low effectuation rate. So there's a lot of policies that were written in AEP, like early October. Hey, great, here's your plan. That plan never goes into effect. They enroll someone else. They end up canceling your plan. Seeing that kind of industry-wide, could be a lot of factors that come into that. There was an event early November that may have influenced certain people.
True.
But so really just telling my people, make sure that you write good business. You know, we had a thing yesterday with Mike, a policy's not a policy until it goes into effect. There's another saying he used. We'll leave that for later.
Yeah, we'll leave that for later.
But make sure, just because you wrote the policy, hey, I'm done. You're not done at that point. You have to, do the post-enrollment activities. You have to follow up. Hey, calling you a couple weeks after. Hey, Mrs. Smith, did you get your insurance card? Do you have any questions? We had talked about this kind of situation with maybe a prior authorization or a certain doctor with a network, referrals, whatever it may be. Don't just enroll them, okay, see you later or see you never, because you're not going to end up getting paid on that. It's not going to go into effect.
Yeah.
So make sure you're following up, setting the proper expectations as well.
Yeah. A lot of the conversations I've been having, just kind of, I won't re-say what you just said, but I've been starting to have those conversations with agents who did really well this AEP, making a lot of commission, and for some of them, it's more money than they've probably ever seen. I joked with one of my agents. I was like, yeah, you just made someone's annual income in one check, and hey, don't go spend it all, right? Set some money aside, because, taxes and, just business development in general, put some money aside if you're going to start buying leads, reinvest in yourself. I think Dan told me this once. The funny thing is, if I go send out dollars into the world, they'll go find some friends and bring them back to me. And so I think, as far as effectuation guys, just, gals, whatever, just make sure you're following up with your people, auditing your book of business, auditing your commissions. I think we've beat that dead horse plenty of times.
Yeah.
So let's just transition and welcoming the new guys. We'll seniority. You just look older, so we'll start with seniority. Let's just take a few moments, kind of share, with our watchers, kind of your experience in the industry, what brought you to Agent Boost. And, even if you wanted to touch on some of the effectuation stuff or kind of what you were talking to your agents about, or even your personal, by all means, share away. So,
thanks, Rich. I'm a little bit taller, so I got to get closer to the mic. So my name's Lex. I've been in the industry for about 15 years at this point in time. Been around a long time. Believe it or not, I had black hair when I started in the industry. So now it's all gray.
Hey, it looks good.
Over the years, I've done a lot of Medicare. I've done ACA since it started. Done a little bit of life insurance, property and casualty. I've held almost every role in the industry that you can, from a sales agent to an agency owner to I was a director of commissions for one of the largest brokerages out there for a couple of years. So I've been around the block, done a lot of things. What brought me to Agent Boost was actually Dan and Mike's vision of the industry. So when I first started deciding that I needed to leave the place that I was with, I started looking around because, it wasn't like an urgent thing. I was in a good spot. So I started looking at different companies and trying to figure out, well, where would I want to land? What would I want? Who would I want to align myself with? I don't want to get set up with another one of these companies that I've had in the past where they're like, oh, you're under my thumb. We just want you to, write me business and we don't care about you. So then I found Agent Boost and started looking into it, looking into Dan Hartle, looking into Mike Hartle, and I was like, okay, I need to have a conversation with these guys. So I threw in an application, had a conversation with the recruiter and everything. I was like, okay, cool, yeah, I want to come do an interview. Came in, sat down, talked to Dan and Mike, and signed up about 2 years ago. So been here about 2 years now.
Yeah, I remember when I first saw you at the old office up the road, I was like, what's this Gandalf-looking guy walking around here, all tall,
Yeah, because me and Rich are like 5'8" on a good day, and Lex is towering over us. So.
But yeah, man, one thing I've just appreciated about getting to know you is you're very approachable, and I'm sure that translates to your team. You know, in this industry, it's always good to have fellows who you can go to and be like, hey, I have these questions. So anytime I've ever had a question, you've been very approachable, and I definitely think that would definitely transfer to your team. Your turn, Nate. Let's go.
Yeah. So I'm Nate. I've been in the industry a little bit newer to that. I've been in Medicare, life, and ACA for about 4 years now. I've jumped around in the sales industry for about 8, selling fun things as far as Dish Network, Verizon, watches. But the insurance industry was all kind of by accident. I was really down on my luck with commissions, selling Dish Network. COVID had just started, so I was getting used to working from home, and it just wasn't working out. And I reached out to a friend, and he got me set up at a company, and one thing led to another. And one of my buddies at Agent Boost, actually, I saw them at a stoplight at Wendy's on lunch, and they got out of their car and they said, you need to come work with us. You're a great guy. Just come talk to me. And that was Jeff and Paul. They got me on over here. And it's just been amazing. Aside from the tools that Agent Boost has been able to give me, every single person here has just been so helpful and really opened the door into my opportunities moving up from starting out on life, moving over to ACA, and then doing Medicare for a while. My favorite thing here has just been able to help everyone and get that help back. There's not been a situation where I've been like, where do I go? Who can I talk to? I've always had that answer here. And so just being brought up here has been very helpful for me.
Yeah, we definitely have a great culture here.
Oh, yeah.
And personally have experienced it. There's some things Dan has done to help move me along in my career, and I see him do that almost every day. So shout out to Dan. Your reputation did precede you. I remember this story, and I remember Jeff and Paul just like singing your praises. And I remember when you first came in, and I would just describe your kind of your trajectory in Agent Boost. You're kind of like the Swiss Army knife. I've literally watched you do everything we do here, and it's been kind of cool.
So both of you, actually.
Yeah, both of you. And just seeing your growth. And so again, I appreciate that you're here. I think you're definitely a value add to the Agent Success team here. And so love to have you guys. If either one of you just want to share kind of, your teams aren't as big, but like you're dealing with the effectuation stuff. So what are some of the tips, tricks, things you would kind of impart on our agents to kind of help them out?
Yeah, I mean, I can go ahead and start. I mean, one of the biggest things transitioning from this AEP from previous years, doing ACA in life, is setting clearer expectations with these clients. The regulations are a lot different from how they've been previously. So a lot of clients, you'll notice they don't really have direction. Onboarding or understanding their documents kind of wasn't really said a lot this year, is what I've been able to see from people. So going into this year, talking with my team and setting those clear expectations at the end of the call and throughout, checking in and making sure your clients have questions, that makes a world of a difference, because then they know who they can rely on,
Yes, I mean, Nate kind of took some of the words out of my mouth. Setting clear expectations is the biggest thing. And if your client cannot tell you what they signed up for and why at the end of your phone call, you are not doing your job. You're being an enroller, you're not being an agent, to quote Mike there.
Exactly.
So, and that's even something you can do. If you're not sure, you can recap it with them at the end. All right, Mrs. Jones, just want to make sure that you understand this is the plan we set you in, and these are the reasons why. Is that correct? Does that make sense to you? And one of the things that kind of surprised me was some of the letters that people are getting from their insurance carriers now. So for reference, I changed my brother-in-law over from one D-SNP plan to another D-SNP plan. And the letter he got from his old one was basically like, hey, we've been informed by Medicare that you have chosen to cancel your health insurance. Here's a list of fees you'll have to pay if you don't have any insurance.
Wow.
Call us to rectify this now. And it's like, wow. That's brutal. Like, I've got the letter.
That's fear. That's giving people fear.
Total
right?
fear.
Yeah.
I'm going to send that out to the team so that way you guys can see it all. But it's like, hey, if that's my client and somebody's trying to change him, I love that letter, because it's going to keep them with me.
Yeah, right.
If it's the inverse of that, I don't like that letter. So I tell people now, hey, you're going to get a scary letter that's going to say these things. use it to start a fire. You don't need it. I've got you taken care of.
Yeah, I'll just share a story yesterday. You know, like there's a lot of, I guess the term is misinformation, fake news. But I was helping this lady. Actually, just rewind. Let's go back to just being a good agent, right? That's kind of what I heard from what you were saying. And so I think a lot of times agents will be tempted to just kind of, you know, oh, this is a slam dunk, right? And I had one yesterday. I literally could have enrolled this lady within 5 minutes, right? Because, you know, long story short, you know, she had called into a government agency and they basically took her off her C-SNP plan and just put her on a regular PDP because they told her that, you know, on original Medicare, you don't have to get referrals and prior authorizations.
It's true, but
okay.
Here's the other list of negatives that come with that.
Also, she was told that her out-of-pocket that she had already paid on her prescription drugs wouldn't follow her if she changed plans middle of year. Again, misinformation, fake news. And so, you know, in my conversation with her and her daughter, I literally, within minutes, obviously found out the plan she used to be on. It's a C-SNP. It's, instant enrollment, everything. You know, hey, I could have just been like, hey, you know, I can just put you back on the same plan. Don't have to look up your doctors. Don't have to look up your drugs, right? I could have done that, right? I could have read the disclaimers and just kind of, kind of pushed it through as fast as possible. But I literally from scratch, here's all your benefits, even though you already know. I just want you to know again, right? I'm gonna read the disclaimers. Give me your medications. Give me your doctors. Let's just verify, right? Because things may change, right? And at the end of the call, you know, setting that expectation, and she. You know, sometimes I wish we could just put out some of these calls, right? She was so like, oh my gosh, you're going to reach out to me year after year. If I ever have a question, I can just call you. Where have you been? That's literally what she said. Where have you been my whole life? And I'm like, I've always been in the same place, but I think that just those type of interactions with people are just going to kind of, again, going to the theme, help with effectuation, right? Policies going into effect, policies staying on the books, being a good agent, that'll probably lead to 2, 3, 4, 5 referrals, right? That's what I like to do, right? That's my advice.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard what's nice with me is I sit right next to these guys. So I hear them do sales calls a lot. They do a lot of life selling, and I'm just hearing what makes them different as an agent because, like, Michael said, be an agent, not an enroller. Well, an agent means setting those clear expectations. It means helping them understand and why, just to Lex's point, why they're in that plan. And if you can help them understand that, that's a huge thing because I think more and more that I'm seeing a pattern, a lot of beneficiaries, they don't really know what they have. There's so much misinformation, so much confusion going out there. Somebody calls in with something shiny, I need to get that, but it's like, yeah, you get this one thing, but you're losing X, Y, Z, A, B, and C. Like, you're losing all these benefits. So I heard a Jeff Foxworthy quote. He said, if you're thinking you're going too slow, slow down. So I'm trying to use that in, as a technique for my agents because, like, hey, we can speed through something, but at what risk are you going to do that for? I mean, I've shared this analogy a few times, maybe on the podcast too. Like, if you're going to walk this sweet blind old lady across the street, you're going to take her time. You're going to say, hey, we're going to take a couple steps. Watch out for this here. I got you. I'm taking you across. You're not going to grab her by the arm and just yank her across the street. Yeah, she got across the street, but now she's confused and bruised and broken. Yeah. So take the time with your clients to take them through the steps of what and why. Peter, he's in the W-2 side. He does something that's a features versus benefits. Like, what's the difference between a feature and a benefit? I'm sure you guys have heard Peter talk about this, right? You guys were on the other side with him earlier. So I think that's one thing that just to highlight a little niche point of what can make you a little bit different is what's a feature versus a benefit. I'm going to pass that to you guys.
Well, I just wanted to add in, and it adds into you being an expert in your field.
Exactly.
You want these clients to know that they can always rely on you because more often than not, like you said earlier, these people don't even know what they were set up with the first time, or they're just very confused. So when you can at least clearly explain what they have and a direction that they can go from there, they want that help. They will ask you to do that. You don't even have to force your way into the door. Yeah,
to your point, what they have, and also you mentioned direction, I think is a huge key. What's next? Because you don't want, like we said earlier, you don't just here you go and goodbye, but the direction to go and to know that they can rely on you, just like that lady.
Anyone can read off a paper, but experts can make sure that their client can explain it back to them.
And the beauty of our industry too is like, it doesn't cost the consumer anything to talk to us. Like if you're going to a realtor or something like that, they're getting, I think the rules changed. They have to kind of pay the commission, but like
Not a realtor, so
I don't know. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that one. But like CPAs, like taxes is so confusing. But if you want a good CPA, you're paying out of your pocket for it. But for us, our knowledge is free to them essentially.
It's our relationship with these beneficiaries is not transactional, right? So like I think that's kind of what you're getting to.
Yeah.
We're not. There's no like fee for the service. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've done a presentation and people are sitting there kind of looking at me, and the next thing is well, how much is this going to cost me? How much do I pay you? You know, and I usually joke around and say, $1 million. I only take cash, you know, and they're like, oh, and I'm like, no, nothing. There's like literally no fee for my service. I get paid by the insurance company to help you. I actually work for you. That's kind of how I look at it.
Exactly.
Right? My job is to make sure you are taken care of. I don't care which plan you're on. Not like in a negative. I don't care, right? Is it the plan that's going to provide the most benefit to you this year, right? Because every year the plans change. So that's kind of how I look at it.
That's a huge difference in this industry out of anything else, is having that transparency with them. In most other sales jobs, you don't typically want to share, oh, this is how I get paid, or this is where I make my money. But being transparent with these clients, letting them know, hey, this is the carriers pay me. Mm-hmm. I'm here to help you. My services are free because the carriers already take care of me.
Yeah, it's not a turn and burn scenario.
Right.
You know, you're not dancing for cell phones, to touch on Nate's prior sales experience there. But with the features and benefits, Peter's famous quote with it, a cabin in the woods is a start of a horror movie. A cottage in the forest is an Airbnb. You know, and it's a great way of explaining it. You know, I can tell Mrs. Jones, like, oh, you have $5,000 in dental. Great. What's that mean for her? Well, this means you can get your dentures. You can start eating steak and potatoes and the foods that you enjoy again.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the feature would be this has 5,000 in dental. Mm-hmm. The benefit to her, I can eat steak. I can do these activities to it. Yep. So basically, the feature is what it does. The benefit is why it does that for that person.
Yeah.
So
call that whiff 'em. What's in it for me?
Yeah.
Right. So I think we've kind of definitely gone around and around on just being a good agent, right? You know, talk about effectuation. We try to keep these kind of short, but I just wanted to kind of go into, we just had our Agent Elite training here at the Utah office. We're getting ready to have another one in our Tampa office, March 11th and 12th. Open invitation. You don't have to be an Agent Boost agent to come to that training. Just go to our website and register for that event. Again, no cost to you. There's no fee. I always laugh. We all get emails every day. I've been invited to so many trainings where I have to pay, and I'm just kind of like, you know, if you're so good at insurance and teaching people how to do insurance, why do you need to make money teaching people how to sell insurance, right? You should already have enough money from selling insurance. That's just me. That's based off a meme I saw the other day of like, you know, if people are so good at making money, why do they need to sell you a course on how to make money, right? So same thing. Yeah, like I think it was really cool to see all the agents come out here. Some, you know, this was maybe their second time, you know, but what I have personally seen for some of my agents, 3 in particular, from, you know, the first time they came to the Agent Elite training, and the results after was a 200% increase year over year, right? So in 2023 to 2024, Marco Peca, Carlos Escobar, and Calvin Augusto, all 3 of those agents, you know, came to an Agent Elite training, and just that following year just kind of skyrocketed in sales. Have any of your agents experienced success?
Yeah, totally. I'm going to shout out Peter Albee. He came out of the training and he like wrote the most the next week that he's done in a while. I think he
like
wrote
15 or
15
something?
policies or something like that.
Man.
But like he brings, just to shout him out a little bit too, he brings a lot of different knowledge into the industry. He comes from more like the group policy settings with different employers, but he still applies that same mindset of educating the customer, and I can see he's forming a really good groove and really figuring this industry out, and I can see the excitement. So shout out Peter on that one. But a lot of the agents, I mean, even to talk on your agent, Joannick, who's, you know, he's the man. He came out to the one last year and came out to the one this year. Joannick knows his stuff. He's like, I learned a lot more as well. Like, it doesn't matter what kind of level of agent you are. If you come to one of ours, you're probably going to learn some more stuff. I mean, I think down in Tampa, there's going to be Mike. I think you're going to be there.
I think
probably
you're
will
going.
be there.
I don't know.
You're talking about just moving down to Tampa anyways.
I want to.
But
I want to. It's 70 degrees in Tampa right now. You can't see outside the window that I'm looking at, but it ain't no 77 degrees here in Utah.
It's 34 degrees.
yeah. And snowy. But I mean, it's going to be really good. So we have a lot of the other agents that weren't able to make the Utah training come to this one. So just come out and like you said, even if you're not with Agent Boost, come out and be with us, come learn. And if you are with Agent Boost, come out. If there's certain incentives, if you sell a certain amount, we can help with travel and hotel at the same time. And, back to what you said again, it doesn't cost anything. So,
yeah, we provide lunch. And I think first night we take everybody out to dinner.
yeah.
Right. Usually do an activity too. Even I, having been a part of the trainings as a trainer, right, sitting there watching, even I, one or two little nuggets of knowledge that kind of help me okay, well, let me implement this. I've heard you say that, but sometimes it takes a couple times to, get through my thick skull. But I love those trainings. I learn something new every time. And so I would just highly recommend, coming out to it, getting to meet the team. I think that's the other cool part is you get to meet kind of the people, you get to meet Mike, you get to meet, Heather, if she's doing ACA, you get to meet Jeff. Dan comes in, does his thing sometimes. And so it just depends on which training they're at, but I think it's just great value, right? And I think that's something that kind of sets Agent Boost apart is just providing that opportunity, again, come down, do some training, right? Yeah.
I think what's a little different with it too, and you guys can speak to this, is not just like some guy up there giving a lecture, like talking about, I'm great in this and that and other. It's like, hey, we're here to help you make better, and it's a collective effort with everyone in the audience too of putting in input and providing feedback. It's not just one guy up there touting and saying, I'm great, follow me.
Not just up there saying we're awesome, look what we're doing. It's how can we help you? These are the tools that we're going to give you, and these are what we're going to do to help you. And it's so much more than just a sales training. Watching Mike do it this past time, he goes into personal finances, how to set yourself up for success. If you're new to the industry, here's the pitfalls that I had. Please don't make those. Here's how I would avoid them now.
Learn from our mistakes.
It is so much more than just a sales training.
Yeah, for sure.
And for a portion of us, for Lex and I, we're on the phone still doing the job that you guys are doing right now.
75% of the time.
Yeah, 75% of the time we're still.
I mean, you just shout these guys out. They do a fantastic job. I mean, if you're a contract agent with us, you can do live selling sessions. It's either Lex or Nate. They're both in there most of the time. One's selling, one's kind of answering questions in chat. And I've seen people say oh, this is how it's done. It's this easy, or just they just needed to see someone do it. And they bring such unique sales environments. I know when Nate's getting a sale, he does a skydiving pitch. So
I'll have to hear this pitch sometime.
Yeah.
I think a lot of agents come, to us and they have this preconceived notion on what they think it's going to be, right? Because they're, again, right, wrong, or indifferent. They come from, that e-telebroker background. They're used to call after call after call, just kind of slamming people through. And it's no, you gotta kind of keep what you kill here. A little bit of different design. And, I think once they see someone do it, oh, well, okay, I can do that, right? There's not this nebulous kind of, thing out in the ether. They can just see you do it, rinse and repeat,
Yeah. Well, and with the industry changes, now's a better time than anything to get into it. Everybody always talks about those situations where it's, I wish I had done this when it was starting out, and now's the time. The average Medicare agent is 60 years old right now?
59 and a half.
59 and a half.
So 60. Yeah.
There's a new generation coming in, and now's the time to get a part of that.
Yeah, exactly.
This year and next year is the peak of the silver tsunami, as they're calling it, the baby boomer generation turning 65. This year, there's more of them turning 65. This year, next year, and then the following year are the three biggest. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great time to get into it.
My parents, they're coming in next year.
I'm signing up my mom today.
And I would tell the agents getting in, kind of one of the things that I've seen is the newer agents haven't taken the time to really understand what Medicare is, right? Like agents ask me all the time, I hate it when they ask me for scripting. Do you know how to talk about Medicare? Anyway, the secret sauce, in my opinion, for an agent is understanding Medicare, be able to talk about VA, TRICARE for Life, Chant VA, Indian Health Services, you're still working, how big's the employer, be able to do that. That's the thing that's going to set you apart on a phone call versus just going straight to pitching benefits, asking those questions, deep dive, needs analysis. I think that's becoming the lost art. And so like I would just say any agent who's like interested in, getting in the industry, take the time. I used to read Medicare and You every day. I would flip through it. Back in my day, nothing was online. It was all paper. But like I just read it and got very familiar with it. So that would be my recommendation. Take the time to understand what you're talking about, right? Because it'll set you apart on those calls.
And if you don't know, ask. I'll put some ownership back on us because to what you said, and we had a training yesterday with Mike, is, we're not the heroes in this story.
Yeah.
You are the heroes. We're the ones to help you out. And, I'm going to try to do a much better job with all of my people and my agents and whoever wants to come join the team that, hey, I'm here to help you figure this out, but I'm not going to be able to lift the weight for you. Like, if you want to be, use my gym analogy again, if you want to be the one that gets stronger and better, you have to be the one that lifts this weight, but I'm going to help you with all the tools and everything to help you get to that point.
Even hoist.
Yes, exactly.
You put in the work, right?
Exactly.
It's that. So
I will be your Gandalf.
Yeah,
So
yeah. That's kind of that
I'll be
hero's
Sam because
journey
I'm
was funny yesterday.
too short to be Gandalf, so I'll be Sam.
Yeah. So, well, let's kind of wrap it up. Some things I just wanted to just share. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I don't know. Do we call it the big podcast or just the Agent Boost podcast? But Dan and Mike just hit 1 million views. So I think that's great accomplishment for them. I saw that the other day and I was like, I hope I had a small part in that, maybe I get some shine, but I've been on a couple episodes, so
I'm kind of a big deal.
but I thought that was so cool. It's just a testament to their, them putting in the work, time, energy, and effort. And I'm proud of them, man. I'm glad to be a part of that. Just a great accomplishment. Some other things I would just shout out, just, follow us on social media, subscribe and put some comments in there, right? Join our Facebook page. I'm sure we can put a link out there, right, Mosiah? Join us on the Facebook page.
I think it's in the description.
Somewhere in there.
All that stuff. Mosiah,
Right.
Mosiah does a good job. He takes care of us that way. So
I'm new to all this social media stuff, so I'm kind of like I don't know, am I a boomer? But
mail in your subscription to Rich Post.
yeah, mail in your subscription. So any final thoughts, anything you guys want to share before we get out of here? I think this kind of wrap it up.
I think we touched on just about everything. Okay. So
cool.
Yeah, I will say just happy to have you guys a part of the team.
Just gonna say
been
the same thing.
Happy to be here.
Huge, great addition. You guys have come in running, and it's been kind of what we needed. It's been a huge help, and we'll get you guys running and join one of these guys' team or join one of our teams. Just join Agent Boost. We'll help you out.
Well, we're all agent success managers. We all manage our own team. But if you guys have seen, it's very like I saw the writing on the wall. I didn't want to be siloed over here. Rich Post doing his thing with his own team, and I'm very strong in this one area, and then Jordan's over here doing his thing. He's stronger. I was like, let's just be collaborative, right? Like friendly competition is good, but we don't need to be like it's not a dog eat dog thing. I've always hated that in a team. That's probably from my military experience. We're all one team, right? We have the same mission, right? That's to help agents succeed in this business, right?
Yeah, we all use each other for resources every day.
Yeah.
So we're always have each other's back that way.
Okay. Again, thanks for joining. Let's just go ahead and wrap it up.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.